Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good question, is where are these guidelines coming from? Where are these recommended amounts coming from? Do you know? I don't.
I mean, I think it comes from the government level. You know, the government puts out a new food pyramid every couple of years, and they still keep dairy on it and meat in high, proportions. I love dairy and I love meat and I eat the crap out of it all the time. But I'm also exercising and working out and focusing with other modalities or other things on these areas that are in high inflammation and that need to be regulated from eating those things. So I can do everything in moderation.
Isn't wheat one of the biggest parts of the pyramid? I could be wrong.
I think it is.
Or it used to be, and then they changed it or something.
Yeah. And so I know there's a big controversy over gluten, and everybody is now gluten-free, and celiac is a very rare thing. So for every single person now, all of a sudden, to be allergic to gluten
intolerant.
It's a little fad-ish, but I know there is a lot of information out there that is against it. There's good and bad reports and studies done on milk that it's good for you, it's bad for you.
Right.
Both me and my brother drank gallons and gallons and gallons of milk growing up, and we turned out to be never broken a bone, professional athletes and healthy, and so.
And on that, I remember looking back at, or it might have been a viral thing. It was going around. It was an old picture of it was class picture of kids. I think this one was of boys. I don't know. They're 9, 10, younger, back in the maybe 50s. Mm-hmm. All of them healthy, skinny, as you probably are at that age.
Right.
And then they compared it to a class picture of today. And they're they weren't back then they were drinking milk. They were eating bread. They were eating just on the surface level, the words, what we're eating now.
Right.
But what is different is what we're eating now is so different. The ingredients are different. What's pumped into it is different. It's just so processed. It's so crazy to think what a difference just that one. Granted, I'm sure they were more active, but I think the food thing is just.
And I know it's been going on for a while. Just to touch back on the grains and the wheat and everything, carbohydrates is the only food that your brain will eat. So you find, these really low energy, what seems like low cognitive functioning people out there who eat absolutely no carbohydrates all day because they lump carbohydrates and wheat and gluten all together, and then you just are deficient in all these areas.
Well, that's what I hear.
You break down.
Stay away from the carbs.
Right, and that's the only thing that your brain eats. So if you have
carbs.
You need carbs, definitely. They are responsible for brain function and the contraction of muscles. So if you're feeling sluggish and weak, and you haven't had any carbohydrates anytime soon in the last couple of days, you're probably extremely deficient on it. And your cognitive function will be greatly diminished by it.
What do you think are the best way to get the best kind of carbs? Anything? Bread, pasta? I mean...
Again, I think it depends on how you are regulating your system. So, for an athlete, I can eat a whole thing of quinoa, or I can eat a whole thing of pasta. And I'm going to be able to regulate that pasta that I eat, even though it's not nearly as good as the quinoa. I'm still going to be able
nutrition-wise?
Nutrition-wise,
I was
right,
taste-wise, I was like,
no,
what?
I know, yeah.
Pasta is undeniably better than quinoa.
This is true, absolutely. I'm going to be able to regulate all that, and it's not going to affect my system negatively because I have the things in place, and I'm eating in moderation, for my day tomorrow or for however I'm going to be, processing what I'm putting into my body. We put it in there for a reason. Today in our society, eating is so social. It's so, gluttonous. Everything has to taste incredible.
Yeah.
Everything has sugar in it. I think this kind of segues back into what you were just starting to talk about. But that's not the purpose of eating. The purpose of eating is to stay alive. And to go.
How fun.
Exactly right.
You want to go out tonight and try and stay alive together?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
And the earth has amazing tasting things for us. Berries and melons and fruits and all these things. And lentils and beans and all this stuff. Stuff that are high in electrolytes that are really good for your body. And there are things that when cooked together with very simple natural ingredients taste incredible. Not everything has to be pumped full of sugar or salt, and which is what mostly everything is. But I think people need to get back to eating is a form of sustaining yourself so you can continue. It's not necessarily designed for
purely
taste.
pleasure,
exactly,
Sure.
which we have totally made it into
Sure.
as a society,
Sure.
which is kind of detrimental to us. And
So you're saying the pasta's okay, but
Sure.
maybe not with the feta or the Alfredo sauce.
Sure,
and,
and maybe not without doing anything
butter.
the next day, or just, in eating at, 9:00 at night, which
Right,
is, you're supposed to eat 6 hours before you fall asleep, and
6 hours, really? You're not
think
supposed to
so.
eat the 6 hours before you go to bed?
yeah,
Really?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
And you're also supposed to, I know, man, who does it, especially in the American lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to eat a huge breakfast. Really, the majority of what you eat that day should be done in the morning, because we should be rising up early when the sun comes up, falling into that circadian rhythm, which is very important for our health. And then, working and going outside and, being active and play. Yes, exactly. Or running and catching food or, just enjoying life, being with kids and family and doing outdoor activities. And then, for lunch, you're supposed to eat a moderate size meal, not a whole lot. And then for dinner, you're supposed to eat next to nothing. And, let your, system kind of process everything that's been in there, and so that you can fall under your the recommended daily intake and your resting metabolic rate, so that at night you're burning more than you're consuming during the day, and then you lose weight and you burn calories overnight, and you wake up hungry again and are supposed to eat within the first 30 to 45 minutes of being awake to start your metabolism, so you don't start storing things and turning it into fat. And
What do you think about intermittent fasting?
I think it's great. I think we're definitely supposed to do that. You hear about people surviving, and they can survive for 43 days or something like that without
I
any
hear these
food.
cases, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, the body is incredible, and it can pull energy and food from all these different areas. You can go for a long period of time without being, having to eat, obviously without huge energy output. If you're hiking and you're traveling, from destination to destination every day, you're going to need that food. You're not going to be able to go for 48 days, while putting out that energy output. You got to replenish that within your system.
Go on a hike for 45 days and not eat anything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Generally, you see that when somebody is not moving and not requiring, all the,
If you just sit there, you
you're
can
good for a
go
long time.
for 45 days without eating.
But water, it doesn't really matter. You can't go for much more than 3 days, without expiring completely. But you had said something about things being processed and our diet today, and how back in the day those pictures of a class was V-shaped and healthy and skinny, and now it's the opposite. And I think a lot of that has to do with our preservatives and our refined food, and how sugar is in absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. I was told that there's sugar in cigarettes as well. I know.
Why not?
I don't.
Because why
sure,
not?
Sure, why
Just
not?
throw them in there. Yeah.
I also heard that the majority of cigarettes that are manufactured are 85% paper.
What are?
The majority of the tobacco that's inside cigarettes are 85% paper, dyed paper. I heard that from a gentleman that sued big tobacco company.
I think that's my biggest thing right now is just the lack of knowledge and transparency.
Sure.
I think I tend to fall in line with like, people will do what they do and everyone can have their options and they can make their own decisions.
Right.
But it's hard to make your own decisions when you don't even know what's there.
Sure.
I know that this whole, whatever law it was that has required eateries to start putting like calories
Sure.
on has been a huge game changer.
Right.
For me.
Right.
Because now I'll look at things that I used to order and I'm like, what?
Wow.
That's that much.
Right.
That's that many calories.
A McGriddle has 17 million calories
That's
in
what
it or something. And I'll eat 4 of those things for
I thought it
breakfast.
was only 4 million.
Yeah.
17 million calories. My God.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's true.
it's made me not. I don't order those things anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I think, changing the nutrition facts or it being labeled nutrition facts on the back needs to definitely be changed. We put labels on everything and we address things and we associate things in different ways, and how we can tie our minds to certain things, of fire bad, and sugar, good almost right now when it's horrible.
I think that's changing. I hope. I think
so
people
too.
are getting it.
Definitely more and more people are coming out, and you got TED Talks, that are, guy brings out a huge wheelbarrow full of, sugar, and this is how much the, average kid in America eats every year. And
Jeez.
there should be parents that are held accountable because diabetes is, skyrocketing now, and that's all about what you allow, your child's intake to be.
And that's what we were saying at the break. We're like, with the Equiscope, you're like, it does great things,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, if you're having Big Macs 3 times a day,
Right.
like in theory, yes, it works, but
Sure, yeah.
you can't rely on that or the pills or whatever it is.
Yeah, most times people don't want to do the the hard work to change their lifestyle. Most people want a quick fix, which medicine and the Equiscope can definitely help with. We can get you out of pain, but you're most likely going to slip back into that because you are, and that's with real severe cases like this where you're eating fast food 3-4 times a day, you're not exercising, you're sitting at a desk for 14 hours a day, 12 hours a day, which we are not designed to do. We're meant to be running around and swimming and climbing and running and doing all that fun stuff. That you're going to slip back into that. You're definitely going to, 'cause that's your lifestyle, that's what you are creating day in and day out. So that's another thing that we want to be able to change and address is what you're doing throughout your life and how that's really affecting you. But this is something that has been ingrained in us from a very long time, since those times of those pictures you were talking about. In Vietnam, Vietnamese soldiers started to decompose by a day, 2 days max. American soldiers
After
took
they
them
were killed?
after they expired. Yeah, it would take American soldiers 5 days to 7 days to start decomposing
Because of all the preservatives?
Because all the preservatives.
Oh
in
my
our food.
gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is something that's been going on that our bodies have now acclimated to, and that
we're turning into Twinkies.
Yeah, turning into Twinkies.
It's gonna be like 7 years for body to decompose.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's definitely a fight that we're fighting that has a long-standing influence in our society, in how we think and how we label things. So that's, I think, definitely something that we want to address eventually down the road. And just to let people know. First and foremost, there is something that can improve the quality of your life right now.
Yeah.
Something that can get you out of pain. That can, get you back to your life doing the things that you love, that costs next to nothing and has no side effects and is completely safe. And has a lot of studies, done in the past on this type of technology, and that's been around, since 10,000 years ago, and using the same ideas of Chinese medicine and natural healing that the earth provides for us. I think we can go into areas as well as like dental health. You look at these tribes in other parts of the world where they have perfect, beautiful, pearly white teeth, and they don't brush them. They have no
That's
hygiene.
very true, right?
They don't, they have no cavities, but all they eat are plants and fruits and vegetables and grains, and they're perfectly healthy. And if you think about it, it's another thing. We want to get people to start thinking about things in a different way, kind of critically thinking, which they don't teach our kids how to do in school, is, humanity was not waiting for the 21st century to come around to create a toothbrush. And now you can have clean teeth. What did the humans for the last, however long just have rotted, horrible teeth really, really quickly? No, the body and the world and everything was designed and created to have a self-sustaining flow.
Like it was pretty much set up for us.
Right,
there's a reason why we survived all these years.
Sure, yeah. And the earth is incredibly smart and will provide for us, as long as we don't, kill it, which we're trying to do right now. But, just kind of breaking the paradigm of how people think about things in their daily lives that they don't associate that they're doing. And, things with cell phones and, not keeping it by your body. And, I think it's throat, brain, and mouth cancer has increased by, I think it's 85% since the inception of the cell phone.
Really?
Yeah.
I've wondered the numbers because the fear is out there, but I didn't know the actual data.
And that's, a stat from, I think, 2014 or 15 or something like that. But, it's just, there's a lot that we have in our lifestyle that we don't really think about and process just because it's accepted. And we want to be able to change that as well. And,
yeah, absolutely.
We don't want to take away the American lifestyle completely and take away people's freedom. You're never going to be able to do that, and free will. And, I want to have a Twinkie today. I only want to eat Twinkies today.
But you should know what the Twinkie is.
Exactly. You should know what it is
right.
and how to do that in moderation and, all the benefits and your other options, the healthy Twinkie.
Right. No, I think you're right in saying that. I think we've kind of forgotten that just in our way of thinking that there are, speaking specifically with food, like there were other ways of doing this. Like it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be, free for all. Like make it as, as pump the hormones and the preservatives, make it last long. Like no, we were already set up, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.